In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to play Shai and how all the buff system works. And so what are we waiting for? Let's get this started. First of all, we need to learn how to buff up because she is pretty OP if you guys learn how to do so. So for example, we want to put this in a hotkey. For example, number 1 like this, and then press number 1 and see what happens. After using that, we want to use these 3 abilities. So what we're going to do now is going to press AF, and then SF, and then DF. And just like that, guys, we just use 3 buffs right there, and this including if we put it in a hotkey. So that's the reason why we want to put this in a hotkey. So press number 1, AF, SF, and then DF, and that's how you guys basically give a self buff and teammates a buff when it comes to solo array or any group grindings. This buff lasts for like 1 minute, and so just keep in mind you guys want to basically self buff every 1 minute. And so that can be kind of downside about her when it comes to PvE grinding. Every minute you just gotta give some self buff, but besides that though, she does have lots of damage when it comes to PvE grinding, and so yeah, you guys will have a lot of fun time with her. And then now let's talk about her skills. It's pretty simple, and so let's just get it started. If you guys are out of mana, just press LMB and you guys can basically get your mana back just like that if you ever get mana thirsty. Now we have a skill called twirl. All we need to do is press left or right and then press LMB, and then just like that we can basically throw our boomerangs to the mobs or enemy and then give damage like this. Go away, which is pressing F. And if you guys do so on PvP, you will give floatings to the enemy. And then we have a skill called 1, 2, 3, which is an amazing skill. If you press RMB, we basically do that. But if you guys have a BSR, I just use BSR right there. And then it basically looks like that animation. But if you just normally use it, this is what it looks like. And then it also has a stiffness, so it's really good to use for PvP as well when it comes to PvP. But most importantly is that it has a debuff for evasion. And so let's say that you guys are fighting some kind of evasion class. It has a debuff of all evasion rate -9, and so it's a really good skill to use when it comes to PvP when you're fighting against evasion class. But this skill is also really good for PvE, and so yeah, you guys definitely want to use this when it comes to PvE grinding as well. Next skill, we have this skill called Go. And so if you guys see this line, it basically has a flow. So what that means is that we have to use this ability in order to use this ability. And so what we need to do now is press RMB, and then we have to press either Q to go left or E to go right. So for example, like this. And then if you press Q, it goes left like that. And then if you press RMB again, and then if you press E, it should go to the right side. And then we have this skill called Quick 2, and in order to use this ability, it is down RMB. And then we also has a forward guard, so it's also really good to use when it comes to PvP and PvE grinding. If you guys also hover this, look at this right here. It says all DP -35 for 10 seconds for PvE only. And then for PvP, it says all DP -10% for 10 seconds. And so just keep in mind that that -35 does not work on PvP, and then that -10% doesn't work on PvE. And so yeah, just that's what you guys need to know, is that whenever you guys use this ability though, it is still good for either PvP, PvE. Like -35 DP is so good. That's why like Shai was able to give so much damage on my tier list, was because of that reason. So another thing that we can talk about is if you guys go to skill add-ons, you guys can basically use Quick 2, right? And then we can basically use the debuff abilities. What that means is that, so for example, if you use down RMB on the enemy, look at this. It gave them a debuff of all DP -35, for example, right here, right now, right? And then you see the shoes too, which is right here, movement speed of -5%. And so that's the reason why there's 2 pop-up. But now this is a cool part, guys. If you guys go to skill add-ons, and then if you find this ability, Quick 2, and then if you guys scroll down and then use this, all DP -15, all evasion rate, check it out. It stacks. So boom, down RMB. Now look at all these debuffs, right? So those 2 are from the normal skill, and those 2 came from the skill add-on. And it's stackable, and so it's very juicy, very good. And so you'll be -35 plus -15, right? So that's a lot of DP debuff, you know what I mean? And so that's why you guys want to use this ability on the enemy for PvP or PvE, and then you guys basically get them naked, and then let your teammates kill them, or you can kill them as well and give lots of damage. And guess what? It's not this skill. Look at over here. If you look at this Twirl 3, which is Shift+RMB, And he has a super armor, so it's a very nice skill to use, so that way we don't get CC when we use this ability. And then the most important part is that it also has all DP minus 35, all DP minus 10% for PvE and PvP, same method basically. And so, you can either use this for, debuffing, or you can use that for debuffing. And so it's really up to you guys, right? And so that's the strategy that you guys can add right there when it comes to skill add-ons. And then we have this range skill, which is good for like PvP, but we basically throw our boomerang to the enemy and then give them a CC in PvP. And so if you do LMB RMB, we go like hiya, and then throw them a boomerang and then give them a nice stun. And then what we want to do is go close and then use the go away, right? And then just put them on the floor, and then you're like, yo, teammate, he's down, right? And then they go come on and, just kill them all. And then before they do that, you want to debuff them first, right? So down RMB, or shift RMB, right? You can pick whatever you want, but make sure you basically, give them a stun, go close, press F, and then debuff them either with down RMB or shift RMB. And guess what, boys? We have more debuff skill, which is hop 3. And in order to use this ability is down LMB. And boom, just like that, we can use it like that. And then he also has a debuff of minus 35 DP, minus 10 all DP of 10% in PvP as well. The best part about, these abilities is only 3 seconds, right? So this is 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. But if you guys like this combo, check it out. So if you do twirl 3 and then shift RMB, and then all we have to do is just hold the RMB, and then we will use 1, 2, 3. So for example, if you want to debuff the enemy like this, shift RMB, and then just hold RMB after that, and then he should basically use that ability right there. Next, we have this skill called try this. And so in order to use this ability, we have to press Shift+LMB. Boom, just like that. And he also has a self buff of all accuracy plus 6%. So when you guys are hex grinding, for example, you do need a high accuracy there. And so you definitely want to use this ability in that grinding location. And then we have this evasion skill. And in order to use it, we can basically use WW or AA, DD to go right, or SS to go backwards. And keep in mind, if you guys use this ability on PvE, it's actually invincible. So when they're about to attack you, and if you use that evasion and time it right, you guys are basically invincible and they can't hit you in PvE. But PvP, they can hit you for sure. And so you definitely want to maybe lock it and not use this on PvP, because that will get you killed basically. But on PvE, it's definitely usable. And so yeah. Next, we have this Sprinkle Sparkle. And so in order to use this ability, we press LMB or RMB. And then after that, we would just want to press RMB. And we just throw like, light balls at them. And what this is that it actually stacks our Florin Leaf. So you guys will be asking like, oh, woo, what is this? The stacking of times 30. What the heck is that? And I'll be like, yo, so, this is OP because it gives you guys AP buff. So if you guys look over here, out of my way, it says spacebar to consume this the stack of leaf that you guys basically earned. And so if you guys hover right here, it says consume Florin Leaf times 1 to get plus 10 AP. And then it says times 2 to get 20. And then consume Florin Leaf times 3 to get all AP plus 30. And so basically, if you guys make this to times 30, and then if you press spacebar and it uses everything, and then now look at this, you guys get a self buff of all AP plus 30. And so whenever it turns to 30, I really recommend you guys just, press spacebar, and then you should use that ability and then get you guys a self buff. And so yeah, like usually all the abilities will give you guys basically a little bit of stack of this Florin Leaf. And so yeah, just keep hitting the mobs, and then you guys basically get them and get the stacks. And whatever you guys use basically. And then once you guys hit, plus 30, that's when you guys can press spacebar and then give you guys a self buff. So when they say 1, 2, 3, it can be confusing, but just think like this. So for example, if you have a 10 stack, you guys can see 1 leaf, right? And so that's what this one is basically, is that if you guys use it during the 1 leaf, which is 10, then that's when you guys can only get 10 AP. So if you press spacebar now, then look at this, right? We all get all AP plus 10. And so yeah, just that's the friendly reminder for you guys. So now next ability that we're going to talk about is Yippee, which is very, very fun. It's basically your movement skill, which is W+RMB, and you guys are going to basically ride a hoverboard. And then if you guys press F, you guys can zoom in, right? And then go even faster. Not even that, you guys can actually do some cool tricks, which is by pressing like spacebar to jump, right? And so check this out. So W+RMB, and then if you press spacebar, she does some pretty cool fun stuff. And then if you guys want to stop, just press S and you should pretty much stop. Next, we have this ability called hop. So in order to use this is pressing shift and then your movement skill, which is shift A, right? Shift W or shift D and then shift S. And then in order to use that ability. And so when it comes to PvP, you guys don't want to spam that, right? You only want to spam this when it comes to like PvE grinding, because we don't care about PvE. But on PvP, it does have iframe, so it's very, very important to not spam this. And I'll teach you guys later how to, use this ability to be efficient in PvP. Tuck and roll next is right here, which is WF, and we do basically tuck and roll. And guess what? We get ourselves attack speed plus 20%. And so you guys definitely want to use this ability whenever you guys can. And then, yeah, and you guys basically get a really nice self buff. And he has a super armor. So what you guys want to do is maybe like hop. So hop, and then we can use like some kind of ability that has a forward guard, so down LMB. And then after that, we can use like a tuck and roll, right? And then now we can use another Shift+RMB, right? And then hop should be back up, and so that's what you guys want to do. Tuck and roll, and the Shift+RMB, and then, hop again. And so that's what you guys want to do is like movement skill, movement skill, movement skill, movement skill. Get the point? And the best part is, it's only 3 seconds. And so if you guys do it right, you can basically be in a permanent like frontal guard ones. But yeah, you guys definitely want to master that on your free time is, movement skill that has a forward guard or super armor, right? You definitely don't want to use like, the LMB because it has nothing. And these ones also doesn't have anything but stiffness. And so it's too risky to use this ability when it comes to PvP. And so I highly recommend is try to use this. So hop, movement skill, and then tuck and roll, and then twirl. Right, and then hop again, and then you guys can use like hop 3 maybe, down LMB or down RMB, right, and go from there. Now this is the fun part about Shai is like play dead. So in order to use this ability, we do need to put in a hotkey, and so I'll put that on number 2. And what it is it also has a 3-minute cooldown. But if we use this ability, we're basically pretending that we're dead. And it also has an iframe, so we can't actually get hit. But now we can actually get hit after like 5 seconds or so. And so now you can actually bait your enemies that you're basically dead. So from now on, if they do hit you, your HP will go down, so be careful. But you guys can basically have a nice, really cool bait as a Shai player. We just talk about out of my way, which is pressing, spacebar, so we'll move on to the next one. Next, we have gather around. In order to use this ability, we basically have to put this in a hotkey as well. And then we just press number 3, for example. And then if you do so, it basically gathers them together. And so let's say that we're like life skilling, and then let's say that we're getting the animals, right? And if you guys don't want them scattered around, what you guys can do is use this ability, and then he like literally sucks them into where Shai is at. And so it's very, very nice for that life skill. So yeah, definitely use this when it comes to life skilling, like tanning or whatever. And then this is the healing buff, which is get well. If you guys press Shift E, you guys will recover 700 HP per 1 ticks over 3 ticks, and then you guys can also give it to your allies as well. So in order to use this ability, Shift E, and then just like that, it uses that ability. But it also has a really long cooldown. It has 1 minute 30 seconds, and so use it wisely when it comes to PvPs or group grinding and stuff like that. Next, we have another healing buff, which is cheer up right here. So if you press E, we can also give healing for 300 HP, and it also applies to yourself and allies as well. Next, we have this skill called come out, and so in order to use this ability, we do have to put in a hotkey. And the reason behind that is, if you guys look at this skill called stick to me, it is also Q. And so when we press Q, it's going to use stick to me instead of come out. And so if I even lock it, and then if I press Q, nothing happens. So that's the reason why we have to put in a hotkey basically, and in order to use this ability. And then it basically reveals the names of hidden adventures within the range for 10 seconds. And then he also gives your teammates all DP plus 10 for 10 seconds. And then when it comes to PvP, you can also debuff your enemies of all DP minus 10 as well. And then now we have this skill called stick to me. In order to get this skill, you basically have to do Magnus quest, and make sure you guys go do that. And then in order to use this ability is press Q. And this skill is really, really nice to get your HP back, because if you see this, it says recover 150 HP for a total of 15 ticks. And so that's the reason why it gives you guys so much HP back if you guys use that ability. Also, it has a super armor, and so you definitely want to add that into one of your movement skill strategy. And then if you do use this ability, it does give you all DP plus 50 for 1 second. You know, so it's a really nice, cool, you know, self buff quickly. And so yeah, it's really nice for defending. Next, we have this skill called Over Here. So if you press Shift Q, it uses that ability. And then whoever is inside in this area, the enemy basically gets attack speed, debuff, casting speed, movement speed for 2 seconds. And so that ones can be really, really good for like debuffing your enemy. And then it blocks attacks from outside from a protective area. So think of it as like a barrier, and it's really nice skill to use when like a mage or any like range class like archer, ranger, and if they're attacking you and your teammate is down and they're like 1 HP, you guys can basically go close to your enemy and then use that ability and then, you know, block all the casting abilities from outside. This also has a long cooldown. It's like 5 minutes for cooldown, and so, you know, use it wisely for that one. And then she has amazing passives when it comes to life skill. Look at this, her gathering EXP of 1%, and so it's very, very nice to use. And so, you know, she can get it up to like 5% of gathering EXP right there. And then if you look at Joy of Gathering, she can also gain combat EXP of 300% when performing gathering. And then we have a light bag, and so every time she levels up, she will basically increase her weight limit. It's a very, very nice passive that she can get. And then Alchemy Wiz is also good for alchemy stuff. And then she basically get 5% of alchemy XP every time she does alchemy stuff. And then Joy of Alchemy, you know, she gains combat EXP of 300% when performing alchemy as well. And then after that, she does not have Awakening. She basically have this tab called Talent. And so if you press C just like that, it basically pulls it out. And then after that, we have this called E, and then it says Do It Better. And so it's basically a self and allies. So you guys can give an E buff to your teammates as well. So if you guys press E, and boom, just like that, and then it will give your teammates and yourself all AP plus 30 and all special attack extra damage of 5% for 30 seconds. And then we have this skill called Tuning, and so, you know, if you go to the talent Melody of Light form, which is pressing C, and then if you press LMB, she just basically plays guitar, and then, you know, whoever's around her, she basically heals them. And so she can basically perform this ability and then recover 150 HP per 3 seconds. And then you can also recover 5% of MP as well for 3 seconds as well. Personally, I think 150 is not really much. It would have been cool if it was maybe like 400 or something like that, but I feel like, yeah, 150 is kind of low. And so probably, I'm pretty sure like Shai players will not use this ability at all. Next, we have this skill called Elvia Rascal. So you guys can basically use this ability in Elvia server when you guys get the spirit buff. It has all DP minus 20, all AP minus 20 as well. And then what we're going to talk about is the rest of these 5 right here. They're basically a good skill to use when it comes to PvP fighting. And so for example, if you hover Misty Haze in order to use this ability, we basically have to go into the talent form. And then pulling like that. And then if you press Q, uses that ability just like that. And then Misty Haze has you know, 3-minute cooldown, and it also has a really nice debuff on the enemy for all evasion rate minus 10% and all DP minus 10% as well for 30 seconds. Personally, I think this is not the greatest skill because if you look at right next to it, which is Delusive Light, it's only 30-second cooldown, and look at this. It has a critical hit rate of minus 50%, movement speed minus 10%, all AP minus 26, all accuracy rate of minus 12% for 20 seconds. So this can be a better skill, honestly, to use on the enemy instead of using the Misty Haze. And so what I would do is honestly put this in a hotkey, and then I put it on number 6 for myself. And then let's say that we're fighting with the boomerangs. And then if you have time, then just press number 6, and then it just uses that ability. Nice thing about this is that we do have a super armor, and so, you know, unless they have a grab, they can't basically put you down on the floor. And then we have Force Echo. If you use this ability, it basically is aggressive. It can basically give a stiffness around the enemy. And so whoever is around you, and if you use that ability, you can basically give a really nice CC to the enemy. Next, we have Sun's Fury. So if you use this ability, it basically just debuff the enemy of attack speed minus 20%, casting speed as well, and then movement speed as well of 20% for 10 seconds. But I think 10 seconds is really short. So once again, just maybe use this one. 20 seconds is longer than 10 seconds. So I would just maybe just use this when it comes to like Solary or PvP scenario. And then we have Earth Tremble if you use this ability, and if you actually land a hit on the enemy, it has a really nice stun as well. So, you know, if you want to give stuns to the enemy, that's another way to give CCs to the enemy. Friendly reminder, I highly recommend using these on a hotkey though. And so I really recommend you guys trying to figure out which one you guys want to use, because she does use a lot of hotkey. As you guys notice, we use this for the hotkey. We can also use like gather around for PvE, like to group them up and put them on a hotkey. Play dead, right, for PvP, and so on. And just there's so many. And so, you know, you just need to strategize. Personally, I would highly recommend out of all this, I will maybe use this. And then I'll probably use Force Echo as well, just to be like, you know, if you want to be an aggressive Shai player that wants to give a nice CC to your enemies. And that's about it for the talent. And then now let's move on to the skill enhancements. And then there's these two skills that we can talk about. So this one is over there. So if you guys want to look at the animation, it looks like this. And then it basically has magic DP plus 15. And then it also has a debuff of all AP minus 20 and all accuracy rate as well. And then after that, we have sharing is caring, and then it recovers allies HP by 350 every 7 seconds. So personally, I think this sharing caring is just better for when it comes to like teammates. And if you guys want to just give heals to your teammates, I would recommend sharing caring over, you know, the over there. And then after that, when we talk about Turbo Boom, this is what it looks like, and it only has a 5 seconds. And then yeah, it looks like this when we use it, and it just gives a really nice damage. And then after that, we have a Tumble Wumble. So we can use this. And then it does have all DP plus 10. And it has a bound on PvE only. And so, you know, if you use this ability now, it does have a forward guard. So it's a really nice skill to use as well when it comes to PvP. And then on the third one, we have Now. And it's basically a debuff to the enemy of giving movement speed of minus 20%. And then you can also obtain, you know, the leaf for the stacks as well. But I personally recommend just using Careful, because it does give you HP on the enemies, and it's 1000, and that's a lot of, you know, healings. And so I highly recommend you guys just using that over Now. So this is what it would look like for my skill enhancement. So once again, I would probably use sharing is caring, and then Careful. And then if you want to use Careful, you do have to put in a hotkey. So I like to usually put it on number 3 for the third one. But then these ones, you can memorize it. It's Shift X and Shift Z. And then you can also put it in a skill cooldown slots as well if you want. These ones is up to you. I think I would use Turbo Boom for PvE grinding. And then maybe I would probably use Tumble Wumble for PvP, because it does have a forward guard right here. Meanwhile, this one does not. Like the damage wise, like this is so much better. Like 1838 times 7 versus this one, you know, is like 1216 times 4. And so I highly recommend you guys, if you guys are PvE grinding, use this. And he also has a critical hit rate of 100% for PvE, right? And so that's why it's very, very nice for damage wise as well. You're gonna have a lot of moment like this. For example, if you do a self buff and then, you know, give herself a lot of buff, and then after that, if you guys want to go back to boomerang, what you guys want to do is using this skill called twirl. So if you do LMB with A or D, it will basically just smoothly just transition into our main weapon. So once again, it will look something like this. Number 1, let's do a self buff quickly, and then after that, twirl. And then now we're back to boomerang formation. And so that's what you guys want to do basically when it comes to like talent to main, or, you know, stuff like that for smooth transition. Or if you guys don't want to use twirl, we can also use this skill called hop 3, which is down LMB. And so let's say that we're buffing up right now. So we press number 1, buff up, and then we just press down LMB and just hold it down until you use the ability. So what it is doing right now is basically when we buff up, for example, or we're basically pressing LMB to cancel it basically, and then just pulls it out. And then when we're doing the down LMB, it uses that ability. And so, you know, that's what you guys can do right there in that scenario. And that's pretty much there is to it with the Shai. Hopefully you guys learned a lot here. And then after that, now I'm gonna show you guys some videos, what I did in Arena of Solari just for fun. And yeah, that's about it. And so thanks for coming in, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Ciao. So this is very important to know if you guys are playing AOS. What you guys need to do is basically give them a buff, which is called Time to Shine, and then give that to your teammates so that way they can actually get the BSR as soon as possible. Keep in mind that there's a long wait for other participations, and then, you know, while you guys are waiting, you guys can basically get geared up and buff up with your Black Spirit. And your teammate can also get that benefit. And so that's why when you come into this game, make sure you buff your teammates right away. So that way they can get that Black Spirit Rage as soon as possible. And so now while we're waiting, we're finally about to start, but now look at our BSR. It's already 43% and we're already almost halfway. And so that's the reason why you guys want to give that buff to your teammates as well. And then before the game starts, I basically give them all the buffs. And then that's when we go in. I also actually use the E buff there as well. So that way, sooner the better. So that way I can use another maybe E buff next round. After engaging with my W+RMB, I'm going to go close and then press number 2 and then just giving number of debuffing to the enemy. But it seems like no one's around me besides one person. So I'm just going to go closer to them and then try to do something there. But because of my, the buffs to my teammates, they are actually doing their work and we're able to give lots of damage to the enemy. So it's very, very nice, like it's basically team diff. All I'm doing here is basically give, buffs, healings, and to the teammates, and that's it. Like usually Shai is just a class where has really good buffs overall, and just gives lots of healings and just giving a lot of BSRs. So like that's about it. You're just gonna be a full support for your teammates. So if your teammates dies and then if there's only one Shai left in the field, then you're basically game over. But you want to just play with your teammate as much as you can and try to do some, hopefully that your teammates will do some trade-offs for you. So right here, I should press spacebar. There you go, just like that. And then I gave 30 AP to my teammates for 30 seconds. And then because of that reason, look at that. They're giving so much damage to that Wusa. And now she V'd out. And now we're just chilling right here. And then there's this person right here. Honestly, I should have used the LMB RMB there, but I was too slow. And then I just press Q to heal up as well. And then I got CC from behind. And I just try to go close to them and then press number 2 and give debuff, but I keep getting CC'd there. And then that's it, right? It's still 3v1, so this should be an easy win for us. And so that's what we can learn in this video is in the very beginning, give some buffs to your teammates, right? And then heal if you need to, and give healings to your teammates if you need to. But giving debuff, like pressing number 2 right there, would be a huge benefit, giving debuff to the enemy. So that way your teammates can even fight better and get less damage from the enemy and stuff like that. Shai is full support, so you want to make sure you're doing your part as a support. And then boom, just like that, we got a win right there. And then new game. So keep in mind every time I come in here, if I don't have the buff or my teammates, then I make sure I give that Black Spirit buff to them, so that way they can receive that buff as soon as possible. And then before the game starts, you guys know what to do. Press that hotbar, buff them up, give them all the buffs, and I should have give E buff there too, but I guess I was kind of slow there. But here we go. I engage with my W+RMB. And then after that, I try to, make those enemies group up to me, but there's only one person with me. So honestly, I should just ignore that guy and then go to my teammates and then press number 2. Where's my number 2 at? I should have pressed number 2 there and give a debuff, but I did not. I wanted to play aggressive here, I guess, because, it was 2-0, and so now there's the debuff. There we go. Very nice. And then I gave them a debuff. And then I'm just trying to do movement skill that we practiced together, boys. Let's go. We got our teammate got a kill right there. Amazing. Our teammates are doing good job. And then just movement skill. Ooh, the LMB RMB. Heal. Number 4, and try to give some CC there. Oh, we thought we got that Musa right there, but no. And look at that. I got a kill actually right there, boys. Look at that. And then another kill. Oh, let's go. So, yeah, that was really fun. Yeah, like Shai diff, boys. Let's go. So, you guys can really have a good time in Solari with Shai once you watch my video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.